Hello, everyone, and welcome to an episode on Glory Reds. It's your boy Benito, and I'm joined in the studio with my boy, Pastor D. What's good, my guy?
Yeah, I don't want to say all is well, but you know, it's just one of those. It's just one of those days, fam. It's just one of those days.
Man, I don't know what it is. Our house is burning, but for some reason, I am still calm. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I am still calm. It's weird. It's a very strange feeling.
Mm,
Everything around us is just burning. We are the Red Devils.
yeah.
So I have this whole analogy in like we are. I know this is gonna rub some people the wrong way, but just bear with me here.
Okay.
Since we're the Red Devils, we're like in hell,
Mm,
and everything around us that's burning. The demons are misbehaving. The devil's failing to control everybody. Everybody's just there's an uprising.
yeah, yeah.
you
That
know,
that is a
everything
perfect
is just
analogy.
it's just falling apart, and it's like, yo,
Yeah,
wow,
yeah,
God.
yeah.
So yeah, man, I'm thinking about that. But man, this is a match reaction to the Newcastle game yesterday, and man, let's get into it. Let's get into it, man. So what are your first thoughts?
Yeah.
I'm sure you're gonna start with the starting lineup, but yeah, let's get into that.
So I first of all want to start by saying I think the calmness comes from a place of acceptance, and let me elaborate more on that. Not that we didn't know, or not that we don't know where Manchester United currently are, but I think that calmness, like from, particular part of the fan base and from me and you, is coming from the point of like we are, I'm even losing my train of thought here, but it's sort of like every single game we're hoping for that turnaround, you know? So I
Mm-hmm,
think now we've sort of just accepted that when it comes, that's when we're going to have like, you know what I mean? That's when we're going to be moved, sort of just accepted that we're going to stop hoping that every single match, this is going to be the one, this is going to be the one, this is going to be the one. More so because of the starting 11 yesterday, because both sides of the fan base, the ones who want Ten Hag out, the ones who want Ten Hag to stay, both of them want to see change. Both sides want to see change in that starting 11, and that change was made. Both sides wanted to see players like Rashford dropped, Bruno dropped, Scott McTominay dropped, etc., and they were dropped. And we were hoping that the starting 11 that he put out yesterday were going to change a lot of people's minds. We're going to, set the precedent you know, of sort of like reclaiming back what we want this team to be like, playing well, etc., giving the other players a chance. So my initial thoughts in that starting 11, I was happy. I'm not even gonna sit here and lie. I was happy the fact that there was
mm-hmm,
change in the team, right? But I wasn't ignorant to the fact that this change is going to mean a positive result, right? I was just happy that certain players that needed to be dropped were dropped, and other players that deserved or needed a chance to sort of go out there and prove themselves were given that
mm-hmm,
opportunity. So,
mm-hmm.
with that being said, I had high hopes for us to actually go and do something, right?
Yeah.
And my thoughts about the game was I was very disappointed. Not in the manager, and I know a lot of people, are very angry because they're like, how much more or what more do you want? You know what I mean? For you to cross over the fence and say Ten Hag out. Like, how can you still not blame the manager with what happened yesterday? I blamed on the players. I blamed on the players because these players were given an opportunity to really go out there and prove to us and prove to the managers why they need to start ahead of other players. They needed to go out there and really put a graft in to show the manager that I deserve to be in the starting lineup. And even if they don't deserve to be in the starting lineup, they deserve to get more minutes than what they have been given throughout this whole season. You know, so these guys were
Mm-hmm,
supposed to step up their game tremendously. Now I get that, it added some sort of pressure on the players to go and overperform. And usually when you want to go out there and overperform and prove a point and whatever, you're prone to make a lot of mistakes with your hunger to go improve yourself. A classic example is
Mm,
Maybury, just going in there with the
mm.
reckless tackles and just being way too energetic, not taking that energy and using it constructively, but using that energy
Yes.
to like overperform, to like overexert yourself to show that look at me doing the most. And then that leads to a lot of mistakes that happened in the game. Now, I know a lot of the stuff I'm
Yeah.
gonna say is gonna sound like excuses, but sometimes facts are facts, and you just have to see them for what they are. Now, obviously, the
Mm,
players that he put in, they haven't been playing throughout the whole season. They haven't been playing with one
mm,
another. So you can't really expect that chemistry to be there. And when you watch the match, and as I was watching the match, as happy as I was, I quickly realized that these guys are actually not familiar
was a
with
mistake.
each other. They're not familiar playing with each other. You know what I mean?
Mm,
So it was all this like individual energy out there trying to be constructive, and they failed to be constructive. One of the most
mm,
standout things that I didn't like, and this has been a problem with this team last season carrying over to this season, is our passing. Our passing is
mm,
atrocious. Our defending is
mm,
atrocious. Yesterday I was
mm,
talking to myself and I'm like, this is schoolboy defending. And I'm like, no, this is actually an insult to schoolboys because schoolboys don't even defend like that. Us
yeah,
doing that
yeah.
schoolboy defending, we that's
We're
us
taking a dig at schoolboy
we're taking a
football.
dig at schoolboy football because schoolboy football, the levels are much better than that. You know what I mean? So I
Mm,
don't even I don't even know how to classify or call what type of defending United do. It's absolutely ridiculous, you know?
mm,
And as much as Onana had, brilliant 2 games, and I don't want to heavily criticize him, but again, the goals which, he let in, which you're just shaking your head and like, fam, you could have done better, you know. But
yes.
I don't want to put so much blame on him because the blame is collective. Because the blame doesn't start from when the goal is scored. The blame starts from where they lose the ball, and it carries over to where it could have been prevented for Newcastle to be making those type of passes and advances, etc., etc. It's so funny because when I was doing the match preview, I was talking about how teams just, you know,
Mm,
take advantage of our fullbacks, and that's exactly what happened
mm,
yesterday. Dalot got
mm,
completely overran. You know, they were just attacking us on the wings because our fullbacks just can't defend. They can't defend. They can't stop these
Regulon was
guys.
hit stars.
Exactly, and that's why these guys are busy pickpocketing us. You understand? You can see the gaps in the center defense with the Maguire and Lindelof pairing. It doesn't work. You know, you can
Mm,
see where they're going to make that through pass, and these guys are not going to be able to keep up with the pace, and these guys are going to be allowed to be having those opportunities to shoot at goal. A lot of the times, our players allowed the opposition to take a shot at goal and no one was there to defend or block or try and stop those passes of play or whatever. It's almost like we just invited them to say, hey, man, have a shot at it, you know? And these oppositions are taking a shot
mm,
at it because even though Onana had, the previous 2 games, he had quite a good game, but they still know that we can take our chances against Onana because his confidence levels are still not yet, where they're supposed to be. And I don't know, it seems like a lot of the goals that Onana leaks in are these low balls. It's almost like he doesn't know how to defend or save these low balls that come. Like anything that's hit in the air, he has a better chance of stopping them. But if it's a ground ball shot to the goal, he really, really fails at defending or stopping those type of shots. And that's something that he needs to improve on, right? But again, I don't want to criticize Onana so much because he's still new to the club, etc., etc. But still, man, for the caliber of keeper that he is, and that he came into the club, we honestly can't be speaking about stuff like that. He's not a rookie defender. He's not a
yeah.
new defender in the football world. He has had years of experience. He has played at the highest level. He should be doing better than what he actually is. So honestly, like my thoughts towards the game is just I'm really disappointed in the players because they honestly had a good opportunity to go out there and prove to the manager, prove to themselves, prove to the fan base that look, we deserve a shot at being in the starting 11. We deserve a shot at playing over certain players, and they just didn't go out there and prove it. You know, Casemiro
mm,
had
mm,
Casemiro only played one half, and this is something that I said in our football group on WhatsApp that most likely Casemiro is gonna get off early during um second half, or he's not even gonna start second half at all. And that's exactly what happened because
mm,
my initial thoughts were that he's not yet fit, you know,
mm,
and that's why Amrabat was on the bench. So Amrabat was
mm,
definitely gonna come and substitute him in the second half. And
mm.
unfortunately, he never started the second half because I don't know if it's a sustained injury or
It
it's
is.
just a
It is.
continued injury from whatever. So yeah,
Mm.
man, it's man. But anyway, man, what are your thoughts before I get into more thoughts about the match?
Nah, man, D, just I have the same sentiments as you. I was disappointed in the players. The
Mm,
players let the manager down, and I I don't want to say this now and sound like, oh, Ben, but like these the signs were there. Like, that moment when when I was heavily criticizing Rashford,
yeah.
and it's funny that now people are starting to pick up on that, which I'm like, seriously,
Mm,
it took you guys this long to realize that we're not gonna get anything out of Rashford, and you kept on insisting that we need to keep on playing him.
mm,
But that, like you mentioned that you were excited with the change. Same here. I felt like this was going to be an opportunity for those players that haven't been playing to get a time to shine. Like the likes of Garnacho, Mason Mount, Anthony
Martial.
obviously has not really been. Martial has
Mm,
been having these up and downs. There were certain players there that were given this opportunity. It was like, listen, Newcastle are probably bringing their not so strong team. They have not their first team. You guys should be able to handle this game. You know, we don't need to have everybody on there to
yeah.
be able to deal with this Newcastle team. But immediately the game goes, you start to feel like, damn. And I remember we had a conversation when we were like, see, that's the thing with United.
Mm,
You just never know,
exactly.
because like even if Newcastle, like, okay, you look at Newcastle, we changed our squad. We thought it was strong enough to deal with that Newcastle. Newcastle also did change their squad.
Yep.
It was a young, fresh. You see, like Rivermento on the right this
Mm,
side, he was dealing that, bro. When I saw that battle, when I just saw Livermento this side and Ganacho, I knew that that one is going to be one hell of a battle. When
yeah.
when I just saw the lineup, because I'm like, Livermento is no slouch. He runs, he puts in a tackle.
Mm,
So Garnacho already is going to have a real, real big job
yeah.
ahead of him. And then you look at Anthony. Anthony on this other side, I actually thought he was going to do better than what he did. And I was surprised. There was no Dan Burn for him to mix
Yep.
around, but still, he still wasn't producing. There was a
Exactly.
moment where it's like, Anthony, when the space is there, you decide to cut. When the space is not there, you want to attack the line. Make that make sense to me.
Mm,
I started getting all frustrated. Mason Mount, that first half was absolutely poor.
yep.
Like, I was like, what is going on? Regulon, I don't even want to talk. This is why I didn't even mention him when we were talking about the Manchester Derby, because apart from him just being a proper left foot, like a full back,
Yeah.
bruh, I'm sorry, I'll play Malasia before him.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm not convinced with Regulon, whether it is his attacking prowess and his defending. I don't trust him. I don't. I
Yeah.
would rather we bring in Alvaro Fernandez back from from loan on loan,
Yeah.
and then we use him until maybe Malasia or Luke Shaw comes back. But like Regulon, I'm done.
Yeah.
Maguire, Lindelof, when you see that pairing, you're like, okay, what's going on? What's happening with Varane?
Mm,
What's going on with Varane? Like, I had all these questions, and there is certainly something that is going on with Varane. We just don't know what it is. It's not clear. The news don't make sense. They were saying that, yeah, he was injured, and then this past game he was ill. The other game against Man City, they said it was a tactical thing, and then they said this game he was ill. So it's still looking shady. It's giving off Sancho vibes. These things of unknown until these guys come out and actually um
See what going.
say wagwan.
Mm,
Will we know what's really going on?
yeah.
But I was excited with the starting lineup. I really was. I really thought that this was going to be something, and I thought that it was going to energize the likes of Rashford, Hoyland, all the other heavy hitters who were on the bench to come on to come and add on to what is going on there because I really felt like, but dudes, bro, our team, that whole squad needs uprooting.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We need to get rid of a lot of players. A lot
Yeah.
of players. I am not even joking. And I'm talking about if there's anybody who has been here since Van Gaal needs to
Mm,
bounce,
yeah.
unless he's not producing. Now, obviously, Van Gaal, you can argue that Luke Shaw is the only one right now that is still okay. He's injured, but we depend on Luke Shaw. He's our Roberto Carlos. He's our left back. When he's fit, he's coming back into the squad. So you could argue that he's probably the only one that you could have an argument about. When you look at the likes of Rashford, you look at the likes of who else? Martial,
Mm,
um, Maguire. Okay, obviously, Maguire wasn't there during Van Gaal, but he was like, Mourinho and everybody else. Scott. Um, Who else am I missing? Who else am I missing? Who else am I missing that should be gone that hasn't really turned things around for themselves? Because there are players who since then have been good. Like not have been good that have changed um
I
their story
I
at
think
Manchester
I
United.
think a- I think that a lot of the players from the Van Gaal era have left, except maybe Martial, Rashford, and Lindelof,
Luke Shaw.
because Luke Shaw, sorry, because Lindelof came
And
because Lindelof
yeah,
came in Mourinho's era, um,
yes,
Maguire came in Ole's era, um, Dalot came in Mourinho's era, yeah, and then everyone else has been post that. But if you look at our team prior to Mourinho, a lot of them have left or not playing at the club
yes,
anymore. So it's a handful of players that we still have from the Van
yes.
Gaal era, even from the Mourinho era. A lot of this team is actually from the Ole era. A lot of them are from the
Mhm.
Ole era. So yeah, man, as you're saying,
Yeah. And I know it is a because there's such a small handful, it feels like it feels like it's an attack. But these are players that have gone through managers. You understand? Managers after manager after manager. And those same players not being consistent. I would have understood if these same players were putting in the numbers, like if their numbers were undeniable. Like Rashford is scoring plus like double digits every season, both goals and providing an assist
yeah,
in that consistent manner, um, even with changing managers. Then you would say that no, 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 no. These players are putting in the numbers.
yeah,
You understand?
yeah,
Like for example, you look at Bruno. Bruno's numbers from the time he arrived in Manchester United right up until now.
yeah,
Yes, it has declined, but his numbers are ridiculous for somebody that has come into the club in a short space of time.
true,
You know what I mean? And people are here busy saying we want Bruno out. Oh, he's not the right captain. They're forgetting all the wonderful things that Bruno did for us. And this is the problem that I have with some of the Manchester United fans. We tend to forget about what our certain players have done, you see. And then we keep on dealing with these same players, the same players. And now we're at a point where everybody wants the manager's head. And then you look at the players that the manager is picking, we'll be like, wait a minute. How are we still saying that we want the manager to go while these players who have sacked how many managers? Probably three, four managers
yeah,
and have not even backed themselves up. They have not even produced. They have not done enough for the club to say that nah, these boys deserve um, to be left alone because regardless of the manager that comes to United, they always put in the numbers. They have not done that.
yeah,
And now I'm shining the light on these players. And for me, those players that have been here long enough, and if our managers to be sacked, those players need to go before him. But it will not happen because there are players, those same amongst those same players, some of them are amongst the highest paid players at United.
mm,
You know, United won't get rid of these players. It is a financial disaster for them. They are not even thinking it because they've put themselves in this situation. But then who's getting the flack? The manager.
mm,
The manager is not getting the best out of these players. The manager is not doing the right thing. He's not ready. He's not the right man for the job. Are you kidding? What? How have you bypassed what he has done? What he when he arrived at United last season with a broken United, mind you, mending, dealing with all the drama that he had to deal with in between all of that, starting the season slow, reviving other people's careers, being a defensive force in the Premier League, you know, and then he takes us to a cup, we win a cup, he takes us to a final, we get a good position in the Premier League, you know, with a broken Manchester United. He was in the like he cannot sit here and say that he was in like that was his team. Nah, he was still trying to fix it. Now this season he's being dealt a bigger blow with injury problems and drama. He's still dealing with that. And then there's still players who are just there chilling, getting all these 300K. Are you telling me that this man, I've always said this, the players, there's no way this manager is gonna sit here, pick this player, say, listen, I'm putting you in there. And then you don't do because he looks like an idiot in
mm,
these press conferences. Yesterday's post match press conference, they asked him some. I just forgot the questions, but they asked him some really tough questions,
yeah,
questions which I also felt were like unfair.
yeah,
You know, they were unfair because this man is down and out, like not down and out, but he's down. You're
yeah,
kicking him when he's down. You're asking him silly questions about things. You wanted to see the changes. You wanted to see other people getting opportunities. You wanted to see something change. You didn't want to see the constant same thing of Rashford coming, starting the game, and then not being substituted, and then not performing, and then everybody getting booed, or Hoyland starting and then being substituted off. You guys wanted change. He gives you change. The players don't show up, and it goes back to the manager. He took the blame for it yesterday. He
mm,
said, "I'm to blame. I'm to blame." Come on, Gaffer. Yes, you are to blame, but nah, you're not to blame. I'm sorry. You're
yeah,
taking the hit because now we're at this point where it's like I felt like he's not sure whether to defend these players or throw them under the bus or just be the same Gaffer that he was. Because if he says not good enough, throws them under the bus, these players are going to continue sinking into their despair or into that darkness that they're experiencing right now. Like they're not even going to be able to be pulled out of it, or like it might trigger another Sancho situation with players because already there are murmurs, hey, players are not happy. Oh, the training is difficult. Hey, bruh,
mhm,
I am sick and tired of these whiny, fucking spoiled football players. I am sick of it. When some of us wanted to be professional football players, we didn't give a shit about these small petty things. We wanted to play football. Here, these guys, they want conditions to be met for them to be nga. Like, why are people now calling for a manager to come in to get the best out of these players? How
mhm,
many times are we going to try and get the best out of these players?
yeah,
Like, how long is it going to keep on going for? So I mean that game was bittersweet for me because I was like, you know what? Um, yes, we've lost. It's sad. We've been knocked out because we were the defending champions. It's always good for the defending champions to try and go far,
yeah,
but it showed our level.
yeah,
And I was like, yes, we've lost. Let us be knocked out. This is less drama. We don't have to think about more these games anymore. Let us now focus more. I was even thinking the more competitions and cups we get knocked out, the better.
yeah,
Because right now with this squad, bro, I don't want to scrape. I
yeah,
don't want to just make it into top four. I don't want to just make it into Europa League. Nah,
mm,
Like, let us fail so that we can restart again. I really think that we need a restart. Like, if they're not going to get rid of these players, if they're not, which most likely is, that's the truth, because United is a very stingy club, because the headache of having to deal with the logistics and the financial whatever, they don't want to deal with it. So if you're gonna stick with these players, stop forcing the issue of getting into Europe or whatever. Don't let it let's lose. Let's lose. And I say that with love. I don't say it with hate. I don't want my team to lose, but fighting to get into these competitions when we are not ready is far worse. It's almost like you're about to prepare to fight Mayweather. You know what I mean? But you haven't trained enough. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you have a fight in a week with Mayweather. You're supposed to be doing drills, running and stuff. When you want to chill and then wait until the final day to start doing some arms, my friend, you are going to get your ass handed to you. It is impossible. And I just feel like with United, we're at that stage. How we're going to deal with it, I don't know. But this, I saw it coming. I really, really saw it coming, and it's sad.
Mm.
It's really, really sad.
Yeah.
Anyway, my guy, carry on.
Yeah, true. So let me just jump into the match and let me give you my thoughts about the starting 11 on both sides and Erik ten Hag, because I do have um, some notes of criticism that I want to give to him, even though I did say that the blame, um,
Yeah,
majority of the blame lies on the squad, but I still think he has to take some blame for this loss yesterday. So when you look at both sides, again, a lot of people here, Manchester United, they think that whatever starting 11 that's put out is the strongest starting 11, which was not true. Yesterday's starting 11 was nowhere near our strongest squad.
no
You
ways.
could easily say that was our B team. So could Newcastle. So it's just sad that our A team can't compete against Newcastle's A team, nor our B team can compete against Newcastle's B team. That's very worrying. So yesterday we started with
Very.
Onana in goal, Dalot right back, the pairing of Victor Lindelof and Maguire centre back, Reguilon left back. In the middle, we had Mason Mount and Casemiro. And then our three attacking midfielders, we had Garnacho, Maybury, Anthony. And then up front, we had Anthony Martial. Now, where I'd like to criticize Ten Hag is he wants to play two CDMs. We don't have two CDMs to play. Even when you look at our players which are injured, we can't even, as much as we want to see Kobe Mainu in this team, we haven't, yes, he has shown glimmers of hope and whatever, but we have to understand that he's still a youngster, right? We haven't seen him playing over 10, 20 games a season for us to really be convinced that he is that missing link in the midfield to pair up with the Casemiro or to pair up with an Amrabat. One thing I also came to realize yesterday is that Casemiro, as much as he's a good player, we just have to stop relying on him. And as I mentioned before in some previous episodes, I don't want to see Casemiro near the starting 11 next season. We need to rebuild this team from scratch. We can't keep relying on veteran, Rolls Royce players, what, this and that. We need to rebuild this team from scratch. Right now, we need to start looking at progression. You know, when we're going out in these matches, we need to see the team getting better. If we're going from a 3-0 defeat, it needs to go down to a 2-0 defeat, to a 1-0 defeat, to a 1-1, to a 1-0 we're winning, to a 2. There needs to be some form of progression. It can't always be the same result. Um, we can't be losing by 6 goals back to back home fixture. It doesn't make any sense. We took 3 from City, we took 3 from Newcastle yesterday. Absolutely atrocious. So Ten Hag, and I'm gonna say this again, and I don't want to keep repeating this, but he has to change his system. Him wanting to play with two CDMs is not working. Because the mistake that's being made here is that he's trying to fit someone else in that midfield pairing that is not a CDM. And that's how everything gets lost in everything. Ericsson, yes, he did play well in that position last season, but again, he's also one of those players that needs moving along, right? We can't rely on him this season. He's been suffering for injury and fitness. Casemiro has been suffering with injury and fitness. Same with Varane. And these are the three players that we relied on last season so much for us to be winning games. Now we don't have those players anymore on a consistent game basis. And you can see now where it's showing. because the midfield is absolutely atrocious. So he really needs to move away from this system. Either he's going to employ five at the back, you know, go with a diamond or whatever, but he can't continue this trend of I'm gonna play Casemiro and a makeshift CDM and another makeshift box to box player because we don't have a box to box player, right? And the ones that we do have, maybe you can say maybe or whatever, that's not their natural position. That's something that they have to adapt to. So I feel it's really unfair that we want to give excuses for players like Bruno or Rashford and saying, no, they're not playing well because they're out of position. But we want to criticize other players that are also being played out of position and we're expecting better out of them. Mount is not a box to box and is not a CDM player. Yet that's where he was played yesterday. Of course, he's going to have a poor performance, you know. So it's really unfair for us to come out there and attack the player because these guys just looked completely lost in this position that they're supposed to play because they don't even know how to go about it. And then when they default to their natural position, it leaves gaps all over the place, right? Um, Most of these players, like I said in my opening statement, I was really disappointed. I expected a lot from them. Anthony's supposed to be a player that's supposed to be he's supposed to be dribbling, you know, taking on those one-to-ones, but he doesn't.
Hey,
He's so
hey, hold
scared to do it, you
on
know.
one.
He's making back passes and stuff like that instead of trying to go bypass the player. This one situation during the game, I don't know what he was trying to do. Some funny skill, he was trying to spy to the player or whatever. I'm like, dude, what are you doing, fam? Why? Why? Like he was doing unnecessary things that didn't need to be done. So in that regard, it's like, man, I don't even know what to say anymore about Anthony because a lot of these players have just lost it. Anthony Martial is also another player I was very disappointed with um in the Newcastle match. Yes, he doesn't get a lot of the supply of balls. This has been a problem with all our strikers this season that they're not getting enough balls being fed to them. But at the same time, you just don't see that hunger from him wanting the ball. You know, he was just roaming around the place and he wasn't really looking to get the ball, do something with it. And even when the ball was being passed to him, he quickly passed it back to the player who passed it to him. And then it's like he was trying to figure out where I need to be. And I'm like, what are you doing? Get involved. Like, I felt Anthony Martial was not getting involved enough during the game yesterday. And it was so disappointing because, again, this was an opportunity for these players to really go out there and show us what they are worth and what they can bring to the side. But a lot of them just didn't deliver on that. Again, the passing was just atrocious, you know. Garnacho, he tried his best, but like you said, Livermento just had him on lock and there was no like adjustment to see how we can get bypast this. Maybe we are all over the place. You know, he easily could have got a red card. You understand? Mount again, just looking like a lost sheep. I've already touched on Anthony. For me, my man of the match was Casemiro. You know, first half,
Yeah.
unbelievable. The things that he was doing for the team. It's unfortunate that he went off.
Second half,
It's unfortunate that he went
second
off
half
with
for
an
me it was
injury.
One Bissaka.
100%. Same thing as well. When Wan-Bissaka came on, I think Wan-Bissaka is
Ah,
probably the only player that I don't want to say
they were
I don't want to say shut down a lot of people about what they've been saying
he
about
did. Hey,
Wan-Bissaka and
hey,
Dalo,
he did.
but
He did.
you can
He
easily
did.
and this is what we've been saying, Ben, about our injured players,
Ah,
that the players who are currently playing right now, you can't compare them to the players which are injured because trust, once
man.
we get that back four back, I'm not saying we're gonna go on some winning run or whatever, but trust me, that defensive unit is gonna be on lock because Wan-Bissaka was not letting anything bypass him. He was doing what
Bro,
he does best.
bro,
When he came
bro.
back, it was just a breath of fresh air because he was just
One
on
B.
it all the time. He's a problem. He's a problem for forward players, whether people like it or not. He may not be good offensively, but right now he's one player that we need in our back four because we can't continue allowing the opposition to come at us and just be slotting balls in from the wide areas. We need players like him to shut it down. That's why we're also looking forward for Luke Shaw getting back. That's why we're looking forward to Varane getting back into the team because of his pace, his stamina, his player positioning in that box, not allowing people to overrunning him and stuff. There was this one cross that came in. Maguire was standing with Onana. What are you doing with Onana? You understand what I mean? Find a player and mark him. Are you trying to mark Onana? Why are you in front of Onana obstructing his view? Like, what's your problem? You understand? And I don't want to take digs at Maguire because Maguire actually had a decent game yesterday. I know a lot of people might see bypass it because we lost, and 3 goals were put bypast us, and you know how much flag Harry Maguire has been getting this season. But actually, yesterday he actually played very well. If anything, he was probably
Yeah,
you out of all the defenders, he was probably our best defender in that back four. He put in a shift.
yeah.
Whether
Until
people
Wan-Bissaka.
until Wan-Bissaka came in. But that back line, it just needs our players back, and we just need this team to be refreshed. So yeah, man. Goals. They scored early in the first half, 2 goals, like within a space of how many minutes was that? I think it was like in a space of 5 minutes or something, where they scored their 2 goals. Sorry, that was 8 minutes. In the space of 8 minutes, they scored 2 goals. Second half came through. We thought we could pull the game back, but that didn't happen. They eventually went and scored their third goal in the 60th minute. Joe Willock sealed the deal. 3-0, it was over. That's when obviously Ten Hag went through and brought in the cavalry. You know what I mean? But literally at that point, it was it was a little too late because we're literally relying on players that haven't even been doing it when they start. So, what difference really was it going to make with them coming in after when we're now 3 goals down? Rashford just didn't look interested at all. If you watch that match when he got subbed in, a lot of the time he was just walking around. He couldn't even be bothered. You know, Bruno is Bruno. He gets in, he does his job, but we can't rely on him. You know, he was grafting hard. Yes, he made that mistake and kicked the ball out when you're trying to make a pass. I know people are probably going to point to that and make that the huge headline story, you know, but really, if you're going to criticize Bruno, then I don't know because he's literally been our best player this season, regardless of the
And
complete form of Manchester United. He's the only one who has actually been consistent in his game compared to anybody else. So no one should have the right to jump on Bruno Fernandes' neck. That is just uncalled for. Rasmus
I
Højlund,
don't know where it comes from.
Rasmus is new to the team. Like he's exempt, from criticism. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing much to say about Rasmus. You literally can't fault him or anything like that. Which, yeah,
Nah,
which
nah,
which which is what it
nah.
is. Because, and
Mm.
the reason why I'm saying that, I'm not trying to give him like a free pass or anything. But honestly, he's coming into a team that just doesn't have it together, you know? And he does make a better effort than Anthony Martial trying to get involved in the game because he's not getting the supply of the ball. But at the end of the day, it's 3-0 down. You have Marcus Rashford who's not making passes to him. You've got Anthony who's not making passes to him because he's just on his own grind. You've got Bruno Fernandes trying to string things together but can't find the passes because people are just out of place in position and he can't get any good passes along. So I just don't know. And the sad thing is, it's the basic stuff that we can't get right. That's what's so irritating. The basic stuff, we just can't get a hold of it. And that's ultimately what's just costing us. So Ten Hag really needs to sit down before this Fulham game and really needs to think about the starting 11. So I'm happy that he did make changes. I think that going into the Fulham game, I think he still needs to stick with the whole thing of experimenting and see. Because at this point in time, he can't default to the normal because the normal is not working. So he might as well just keep experimenting until he gets it right. Because right now the expectations are very low for United to win any game, any game. So he might as well just try and figure this thing out the right way. And my best bet is just to, like I've always said, is figure out the strengths of these individual players and see how they can work in a system that will work according to their abilities because this system of his that he's trying to implement is just not working.
I hear you, man. Um, I wanted to touch on a point that you made, and I almost forgot about the point about Casemiro. Just correct me. You said that we shouldn't be relying on Casemiro, right?
Yeah, we can't rely on him.
That he needs to start. Unfortunately, he is literally the only midfielder apart from Bruno, um, and to a certain extent Ericsson that actually understand, who I believe understand the pressure of being a Manchester United midfielder.
Yeah,
And Casemiro, like you said, our Rolls Royce. Unfortunately, we are paying him high money. I will, in a sense of what you're saying, like we shouldn't depend on him based on what's going on, and like unless we are going to get in new midfielders into United, which I don't see happening this season, and maybe up until next. So for now, we use Casemiro. So to that extent, we use Casemiro until the wheels fall off, because I'm already starting to get the sense that um I don't want to say that he's getting past his prime, because that these injuries that are coming up, him and Varane are starting to pick up injuries, and I anticipated this when they were coming to United. Varane, we knew he was injury prone way before he came.
Yeah.
Casemiro, he was starting, like getting injuries. That's why he also lost his position at Real Madrid.
Mm.
So us bringing him in, I was fully aware that we're not going to use this guy 100% all the time. I knew that we're going to have moments like this. But I also said that because of United, the way we always buy and sell players, I'm actually happy that we have Amrabat right now, because in the absence of Casemiro,
Yeah.
he is the next best thing.
Yep.
And so far this season, he's having an up and down fucking season. He's playing 45 minutes, he's coming off. He's coming off after 45 minutes. He's having an up and down kind of thing. He's not able to build that consistency. That whole thing is building up into the whole fucking squad. Everybody is not getting the consistency that they need. We had consistency last season. That was one of the things that was prevalent in our pursuit for glory. Our back five was consistent. Our midfield was consistent. We had Eriksen, Casemiro, Bruno. You know what I mean? It was very consistent, week in, week out, and we're finding rhythm. And then an occasional somebody's injured, we'll just plug somebody in there. But we didn't really go too much off. This season, the frequency is out of whack. Like everything is just bang, bang, bang. Like a bicycle spokes. Those things have just, you know.
Yeah.
So it's like he's just trying to get things in together. You touched on a point of Martial. Bruh, I absolutely agree with you. But at the same time, I disagree. I agree with you in the sense that I could tell that there's so much fucked up in the club that it was showing through Martial's face. Because for some reason, Martial is an expressive kind of person. Like that's how we've grown to
Yeah.
understand how he is.
Mm.
And his body language from the get-go, from the beginning of the game, you could see he wasn't happy.
Yeah.
I saw it, and I
Yeah.
know it's a small thing, but these things mean a lot to us who understand our team. Martial was not in it.
Mm.
That already just gave me, like, already I was like, what are we going to do? Martial is not going to have that bounce that we have. And lo and behold, he was just that Martial. That energy around that team was over. Anthony, bro. Anthony was off. Like nobody in that team looks happy.
Yeah.
Nobody in that team looks like they're in the mood to do something. It's almost like it's a drag
Yeah.
to be at Old Trafford to play for the badge. That's how it seems. Now, if you take all those things into consideration, you kind of have a different view about what's really, really going on. You see things like, yeah, there's this and then there's that. So, in terms of those other things, and I think you're talking about the formation, like you said that Eric Ten Hag needs to change his formation. Now, I understand it, and I also wanted to also clarify to some people because I don't think some of them understand because they're like, why is Dinda saying that Eric Ten Hag needs to stop playing with two CDMs?
Mm.
No, he's not playing with two CDMs. He's playing with a specialist CDM, and he's playing with somebody next to him that can be able to assist
Yeah.
when it is because Casemiro he cannot play the whole pitch. As a CDM, he has to block.
Yeah.
So he can't be forward. So
Yeah.
he needs a player next to him that's going to assist him and facilitate him in those tight situations.
Yeah.
I.e., we have Amrabat. Amrabat is the perfect player.
Mm.
Now, saying that Amrabat is a CDM, I mean, he is a CDM, but
Yeah.
then he is a more versatile CDM. Uh, he's not a very specific CDM. So
Yeah.
he has got different attributes, you
Yeah.
see. So when you're looking for that midfield pairing, it is all about finding that balance,
Yeah.
And for some reason at United right now, I don't know what it is, but it feels like we need an addition.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know whether that's going to come in the form of Mainu, Dan Go, Frankie de Jong, or another midfielder. I don't know. But there's just that one thing that is missing.
Yeah.
Because if you put Ericsson there next to that guy, Ericsson doesn't have the legs.
Yeah.
That is a fact. He has the brains, he has the IQ, everything. But the legs to chase people down once they pass, he doesn't have it. So who do you put in that situation? You put Mason Mount. Fine. You put Mason Mount. Mason Mount is a more attacking minded player. His mind is in pressing, stopping that second ball, counter pressing, and bombing forward.
Yeah.
He does have attributes of defending, but then they're not very prevalent. So who do you put him in there? Scott McTominay, the same thing. He's good going forward. Doesn't have the attributes going forward. Bruno Fernandes. We prefer Bruno Fernandes up front. We don't want him at the back. So who are you going to pair with Casemiro in that situation? And based on what we have here, we just have to go with that Casemiro, Amrabat, like Amrabat or Ericsson. Like I don't know, but for me, the best pairing I see for us, like even when everybody else is fit and back, is
Yeah.
Amrabat and Casemiro, and that's just how I see it because I just see those two. Apart from them being similar as CDMs, they have a very good they have a very good understanding of the of dangers
Yeah.
of putting out dangers,
Yeah.
you know, and then we will just build off from there. We've seen Ericsson come on, have a brilliant second half. Mason Mount yesterday, all of a sudden, second half, he was brilliant. And I was wondering, where the hell is this coming from? Like, are you now a
Yeah.
second half player? Should we now reserve you for second half? There were just so many things that were just coming into this thing. So, bruh, all this explaining that I just did, I'm taking it back to the players. There is no way. There is no way that we cannot get the best. Like this is what you mentioned when you were like, these guys are not passing, simple passing, all these things. Bruh, if you're failing simple passing, how can you blame the manager? Okay, how do you blame the manager because of the way players are passing
Yeah.
and receiving balls? How?
Yeah.
Because if you were to say that is the manager's fault, oh my God, let's sack him right now.
Mm.
Let's sack Eric Ten Hag now because if he cannot put down controlling the ball, first touch, you know, simple basic things. What about Benny McCarthy doing there?
Yeah.
What why? Yeah, they must all protect if that's the case.
Yeah.
But are we really saying that that's the case? Nah. Nah, 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 nah. Because that in that way we're insulting those guys. Those guys are professionals. They're getting paid to teach these boys football.
Yeah.
So it's not taking a dig at them. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
these fucking players, D. I blame it on the players. I don't know how I can like emphasize how much these players now it is on them. The ball is in their court. They are the ones that will sack or protect the manager.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, when you see people like Gary Neville
Mm.
calling for Eric Ten Hag to be sacked, like saying he's not good enough. And they're leaving people like Rashford who are dragging their feet, who Rashford has stopped scoring since last season. They are not saying anything about it. And they are already going into the manager. My guy,
Yeah.
when we reach this point, this is where now we need to now stand firm and pick who is to blame. Because me, I'm done taking player sides. I
Yeah.
am done. I
Yeah.
am fed up with it because you back these players, the next season they repeat it.
Exactly.
You know, I had this thought yesterday, D, and it
Mm.
made me laugh so much because remember Rashford, yeah, last season with his turnaround season.
Yeah.
I remember how skeptical and very reserved you were in accepting Rashford. And I was laughing like when I was thinking about it because I was like, I understand why D was very like, nah. I need to see more. I need to see more.
Mm.
I need to see more. And the funny thing is, Rashford kept on scoring every game, every game. He won long, and it's like, you know what? Hard to deny that boy is scoring goals. But I understand why you were saying that. You know,
Mm.
even me back then, the season before that, I gave him shit. I'm
Yeah.
like, nah, Rashford is not good enough. He's not good enough. So, bro,
Yeah.
are we going to continue giving these players
Mm.
a chance? How many chances? Rashford turned what? 26. He's a big boy.
Yeah.
His birthday was recent, you know,
Yeah.
and he was up club. You know, there was the people were not happy that you go and get battered by City, and then you're up in the wee mornings
Yeah.
drinking, which I understand. It's his birthday, he can do whatever. But again, I get it.
Yeah.
You know, he's 26. He's freaking 26 years old.
Yeah. Like.
He broke into the scene when he was like what, 19,
Mm.
18, 19,
Yeah.
and he's just been up and down with, you know, he's wearing the number 10.
Mm.
He's getting 300. Come on, man. These players, bro, these players need, they're the ones that need to be kicked out. And I'm going to say this thing right now
Mm.
because I need to put a stance. I need to put what I believe.
Yeah.
If we sack Eric Ten Hag, D,
Yeah.
I am done. I can't deal with it.
Yeah.
I can't. I don't know what you guys want me to say. I don't know what you want me to say to you guys to give you content. It's difficult because I am already warning you right now that if we sack Eric Ten Hag, this thing is going to keep on repeating.
Yeah.
It's not going to end. It's not going to end. Even with Sir Jim looming, you know, looming, he's about to take control, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I'm still not, like, if dog, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, man. No, I hear
Please.
you. And you know what, man? Like, I get where the criticism is coming from, right? Not that I'm not saying I agree with it. I get their point and I get their justifications why they are saying what they're saying, right? But
Mm,
I still disagree with it. And in that same breath, I want to say something that I know you're absolutely going to disagree with me about, right? But
yeah.
here's the way I see it right now. And for me, it's about adapting. And honestly, the only player that I'm comfortable moving around right now to make it work, I'm going to say two things. I'm going to mention one player I think should be moved into one more position. And I'm going to mention something that you're going to absolutely disagree with. But I'm going to mention this one first because I don't want you to cut me out because I know if I bring up this name, you're going to cut me out, right? So the first player I'm going to say should be moved is Bruno Fernandes, right? I think he should be dropped from number 10, right? And be put in that position the way you explained it, specialist CDM, and then that box to box. I think he needs to drop back and pair up with either Casemiro or Amrabat. But I'm gonna say
I'm not
Amrabat
bad.
because, to my point, we should stop relying on Casemiro. We need to start building a team around. We need to start building a center defense around Amrabat, not Casemiro. Casemiro comes in second half or whatever, but he doesn't start. We need to get used to the
What's
fact
the
that
second thing?
Amrabat's gonna be our thing. Now we need a number 10, right? That number 10 position obviously can be filled by Ericsson, but obviously Ericsson doesn't have the legs for it anymore, right? So here's what I'm saying. I'm saying, right, and I know you're not gonna agree with it, but Erik ten Hag needs to
You're
swallow.
making me nervous, dude.
he needs to swallow his pride. All right. I know what went down, but he needs to sit down.
Sancho.
He needs to sit down. Ben,
Hey,
Ben, he
hey,
needs to
hey,
he
hey,
needs to sit down.
hey.
He needs to sit down with Sancho and be like,
It's
look,
too late.
we need to squash this thing. Look, Ben.
God
Look, Ben. I'm telling you. Let me finish. Let me finish. He needs to squash this thing with Sancho because, guys, as much as I know a lot of people hate Sancho for whatever transpired, but we cannot deny that Sancho, yes, he did not have a flying start and he had injuries and whatever, right? But I still believe that Sancho for me is still 100 times a better player than Anthony. He is. And Sancho for
Oh
me
yeah,
is that
yeah.
player that can easily slide into that number 10 position and can make magic happen for us. I would really love to see a triangle, sorry, of Sancho, Bruno, and Amrabat in that midfield because
Actually,
the passing between those three for me is honestly gonna be magical. I would like to see Rashford, whether he likes it or not, moved from that left position to the right position because it seems he doesn't rate Pelestri. This thing of us wanting to start Pelestri is not going to happen. So the only other way I'd keep Rashford on the left is if Ahmed comes back into the first team. Then I say Ahmed starts on the right position full time, and then Rashford on the left, and then Rasmus up front. If not, then I would like to see Rashford playing on the right, and I would like to see Garnacho playing on the left, and then Rasmus up front. That for me is our six up front. That's my midfield. Bruno drops back, plays in that midfield space with Casemiro. Sancho is the number 10, and then that front three. Or Sancho can play the right, the number 7, and then we have Mount or Ericsson playing in that number 10, right? And I'm going to say Mount because obviously he's still young, fresh, whatever. So I'd have Mount in that position, but I would definitely want to see a pairing of Bruno and Amrabat in that position in the midfield. But we need Sancho back, and I hate that Sancho is such a player that, um, for whatever he has done, looking at the players that we currently have in this team and looking at the current situation that United are in, he's like he's just, like in the Justice League where they're failing to beat, what's his name? Was it Stephen Wolf or something? Right? And they're like, Ish, man, we know Clark Kent is dead, but we need to revive him, man. We're just not gonna be able to do this without. I'm not calling Sancho Superman, but I'm just saying, you know what I mean?
I hear you,
That
T.
like
I hear
we
you.
need
Go,
to
go, go.
revive Superman. We're always not gonna get this thing done. You know what I mean? We can try as much as we want, and we might have a chance of winning. But in order to increase the odds of us just being much more better, we need to go and revive this guy, right? And for me, that's
Mm,
Sancho.
mm,
Sancho needs to get back into this team because I'm just looking at the players that we have and who can probably make it work. You know, then we need to get Sancho back because dropping Fernandez in that position, like I mentioned, obviously leaves a gap for that number 10. And we don't know if Mount will be able to do the job there. We know Ericsson can, but he can't do it consistently throughout the whole season. The player who can do it is Sancho. He's the player. So
mm,
we need him back. We need him back. Unfortunately, Sancho needs to come back and save Ten Hag's career. I'm telling you because the way things are going. And look, I'm not saying Ten Hag out, and I'm not saying that he's going to get sacked. But the way things are going right now for Man United, if we're gonna go the next 2-3 games and not win, it may get down to that point. And you know how useless the board is. The board may look at it and be like, "Nah, fam, you need to bounce." You understand? You need to bounce. And
mm,
then they're gonna bring in some whatever manager, and then we're gonna, you know what I mean, rinse and repeat the same problems from start. So right now,
mm,
he just has to think about his career, and he just has to think about the state of United right now. And I know you said almost to the lines of, well, you spoke more about being exited out of the competitions. And the only way you can get exited out of the competitions is by losing matches. Now I know you're not advocating for losing matches, you understand, but if you're gonna say we need to keep losing so we can start from scratch, that indirectly means that Ten Hag will get sacked. So there's no way that you
mm.
can be pro Ten Hag and then advocate
No,
for we need to lose, lose, lose so that we start from scratch, so we get knocked out of competitions, but then it doesn't
no, no,
reflect
no.
good on the manager.
True.
You
But
see what
hear
I'm
me out,
saying?
T. This is not me saying that we need to lose. I'm saying perhaps
Yeah,
we need to so that we can have the rebuild. Because if we keep on going on this patching of the cracks, and
yeah,
I was listening to something, an analogy that made me laugh.
yeah,
Mark made me laugh. He said, and this is the perfect fucking analogy.
yeah,
He's like, you have a shit, like a lump of shit
mm,
in the tub, right? You put water.
yeah,
That water obviously is going to be contaminated,
yeah.
right?
Mm.
So what we are doing at United is that we are just draining the water, leaving the shit there, and adding more water. That water is still going to be contaminated. We
Exactly,
drain the water, the shit still stays there.
exactly.
It just keeps on spreading.
Yeah, yeah,
The thing is to remove the
yeah,
shit out of the tub. Do you understand?
Yeah,
That was the perfect
yes.
analogy I've heard all year that summarized United.
Mm,
I was like, and I know he's not mocking United. I know he's not, it's coming from a place of love.
yeah,
Because if he wasn't trying to point out the issues, then he doesn't really love. Just like these fans that are all saying out, 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 and
yeah,
not offering any solution. Like, I don't
yeah.
get that. You're just saying, get him out of our club, get that bold guy out of our club. And I'm like, okay, we get him out, and then who do we bring in? Anybody that's just not him. Who's anybody? Who's out there? Who's waiting to take this job?
Mm,
Zizou, Flick. And I was like, okay, has Zizou hinted that he wants to come to Manchester United?
yeah.
That guy has got no affiliation with Manchester United.
Mm,
For him to, just because he's a great player, doesn't mean that he's gonna come here and change things at United. Hans Flick, yeah, he had his wonder season with Bayern Munich. He got the German uh job, and then what? Tanked.
mm,
Now, obviously, it's different, but then he had problems.
yeah,
He's just coming out of issues. Are we going to trust that? Are we going to trust the man that who doesn't speak English also? Like, well, he's
yeah.
gonna be there with German translators. Not that we're taking digs at Flick, but be realistic.
Mm,
Be realistic about what's happening, like currently,
yeah.
everything. You mentioned your changes, bruh. Your changes are not too bad. I
Mm,
actually agree with some of them. The only thing is, I can just um say some points. Like, for example, when you mentioned Sancho.
yeah.
Sancho is a technically good player,
Mm,
wonderful player.
mm,
The problem with Sancho is not he's not a combative player. In the midfield, you need combative players. You know what I mean?
mm,
He's going to offer you that connection up front, the link up play. But then now in that midfield, are we leaving Bruno and Casemiro, or Bruno and Amrabat by themselves to deal with the other three, with the other two? Are we just leaving Sancho? Are we giving him that role of, like, listen, don't come back to defend? Because we know Sancho has got that issue with defending. So that's my only issue with bringing Sancho back into that midfield, that number 10 position.
mm,
I like the idea of bringing Bruno next to Amrabat or Casemiro, because when he was playing at Sporting Lisbon, he was the number 8.
yeah.
He was playing alongside the number 6. He was
Mm-hmm,
playing in a very deeper role,
mm-hmm.
and still causing all sorts of problems.
Exactly.
All sorts of problems. I don't understand how he was able to score the amount of goals he scored
Mm,
playing in a deep role.
mm,
You understand?
mm,
So that, my guy, I agree. I absolutely agree.
mm,
I would like to see Sancho on the right.
yeah.
I would love to see Sancho on the right. Like, we already, I mean, to a certain extent, if we're to bring Sancho in, I would also try to see, like, I would experiment with him on the left, because for some reason, like, he, even Ole said it, he likes to play on the left.
And he plays well
Rashford
on
has
the
not
left.
been good.
He hasn't been good.
Rashford has not been good on the left.
Mm,
Like, he is not.
mm.
Rashford is the only guy in the front line who I actually do not care about his future at this current
Yeah, same
stage,
here.
whether he plays or not.
I'm
I
done.
don't care,
I'm
because
officially done.
he is literally not giving us anything.
Mm,
So I don't mind anybody else coming in and doing in a job. Even I'm just sad with Martial, because
yeah.
you mentioned, and I'm not saying that that's what you meant, but I felt like, yeah, Martial is getting an unfair criticism, like, just like every other striker that he gets. Because Martial, we look at him, we pay attention to how he is, we see how he plays. He was having moments, but
Mm,
that's just how he is. We've
yeah.
always said that Martial is a link-up player.
Yeah.
He doesn't like to keep the ball way too long, because he's spinning and
Yeah.
making the runs.
Yeah.
So people are the ones who are. I felt like people are the ones who were not understanding him.
Yeah.
Like, there was a one time when he did a 1-2 with Anthony.
Mm.
Anthony gave him the ball. He immediately gave it back to Anthony, made the run. What did Anthony do?
Ah.
What did Anthony fucking do? Do you understand?
Yeah.
So, Martial, for me, he's still the same. Like, he's just doing his job. It's just
Yeah.
we just haven't found that
Yes.
chemistry thing going
Yep.
up front.
Yep.
But I absolutely love that change.
Yeah.
The thing is, Eric Ten Hag now going to Sancho and saying, "Hey, man, come in. It's player power. I don't want to see that." Sancho fucked up. It can't be the manager. Like, bro, the moment we give these players power, that's the day Eric Ten Hag is really going to be sacked. Believe me. And I'm not encouraging that. I'm not encouraging players come here, say what they want, do what they want. Like I'm done with that shit. So with Sancho, in that sense, like if we're to bring him in, like if he's to apologize, because for me, it's about him apologizing. And I'm sure the gaffer will be like, all right, you've apologized. Let me try and sort you in. Because I feel like that's all he's looking for, an apology. There's respect. I'm your boss. I am your senior. Respect my respect what I do. So apologize, come back into the team, and then we move on. But he's not doing it. So for that, I will still stick with Sancho being banished. And again, I've been thinking, how is Sancho's training? Is he doing a David Beckham? You know what I mean? And you understand what I mean when I say is he doing a
I get
Beckham?
you.
Is he going in every day?
Yeah.
Is he training? Like, is he asking for what the senior players are training and asking to get the same intensity? Or is he just bumming, lazing around? Because that plays a role. You can't bring somebody who's from exile, who is not match fit, jacked up, or in the same tune with everybody.
Yeah.
Because he's gonna come in, and if you put him in the Premier League, he's gonna be exposed. And then if you drop him into one of those games and he has one of those bad games, it's gonna be like, the manager's giving you an opportunity. You're not doing your part. Nah, nah, nah. Then there's a right? And we know that our boy here is weak. He's weak. So that is a big thing. But uh,
You know
I
what,
feel
Ben?
you.
You know what
Yeah.
irritates me about this Sancho thing? What irritates me is I really feel that Sancho was his situation is just
Are done by.
yeah, because I if what they're saying is the truth, then I really feel sorry for him because Ten Hag, picked up on it. Just he has this habit of coming out and saying things which are just very questionable. You understand what I mean?
Mm,
Like he doesn't come out there
mm,
with the truth and tell us like wagwan. You understand? Whether this is a tactic of his to confuse the enemy, I don't know. Especially now with this whole Varane thing coming out as well about him not being
mm.
happy and blah blah blah. Obviously, we want to investigate and figure out what exactly is going on. But I really feel that
Yeah.
Ten Hag has really been unfair to Sancho because he turned up preseason. He was ready to go this season. I think everyone can agree with me that if there's ever a time they've seen Sancho in a United shirt ever since we bought him, and he looked like, yes, I'm ready to go for this team, has to be this season, you know? And here's Ten Hag consistently playing players that do not deserve to be anywhere near this first team or should be dropped. You know what I mean? For their poor performances. And he keeps on insisting on playing these players, knowing that there is equal quality of player on the bench that you do not want to use, which is so frustrating. And this is so reminiscent of Mourinho, so reminiscent of Ole. We kept insisting on the McFred thing instead of starting Pogba. You know, Mourinho the same thing
Mm,
with Ashley Young and Luke Shaw. And the list goes on and on and on. Ten Hag should have given Sancho opportunity, even more so ahead than Garnacho. And honestly, I think where Sancho lost it, and I could be wrong, I think it's probably when Garnacho was in that first team ahead of him. You know, and I don't want to, and me saying this, I'm not calling Garnacho a second-rate player, but Garnacho literally came from the academy. Yes, he had a good season with the academy, and he had some spur of the moments last season when he was being substituted on. But Sancho is Sancho. You understand? And I get your point when you're saying Sancho's not a combative player, but I sort of feel like, and I'm not saying you have an agenda against him, but I sort of feel like when
mm,
certain fans don't really like or really like a player, they'll take like an attribute of him that is not really strong and just like nag on that point and say, oh, but we can't utilize him because of XYZ, because of this thing. You know what I
mm,
mean?
mm,
Um,
mm,
Ronaldo doesn't track back, he doesn't defend. Ten Hag's team is all about pressing, way. Ronaldo's Ronaldo, you know. And for me, I'm still in disagreement on how the treatment of Ronaldo went with Ten Hag. You understand? He was our top goal scorer. Ronaldo's Ronaldo. He literally should have been the first player on the team sheet every single game. The same way he keeps
Mm.
insisting on Rashford to play even though he's gone X amount of games without scoring, with the same treatment that Ronaldo was supposed to get. And I'm going to say that with Sancho as well. Sancho is greater than Rashford. Why Rashford has been getting more preference over Sancho is beyond me. Last season when I was insistent about now I'm still gonna wait on Rashford, I'm not yet convinced. It's because Rashford for the very long time, and I remember even Ben, I think it was the season before that, where PSG wanted him, and we were done with him. We're like Rashford can go, and then he had that big season last season, and then we sort of like eased down, and now he's back. He's basically back to his level. Last season, you know, and someone said this. I can't remember who said it on the United stand, and when they said it, I'm like, that's exactly what I've been saying. Rashford didn't hit peak form or he didn't get back to his normal level. No, 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 no. Last season was just a wonder season for Rashford. Rashford has never been that type of goal scorer in his whole career. He has only done that twice, and he has been in this team for what 6 seasons. Do you know how many strikers from lower table clubs have done that as well during their career? Where 2 careers out of 6 have had 20 goals, whatever. But do you see them playing in top 4 teams? Rashford is not the player that we think he is. He's not gonna get back to scoring 17 PL goals this season. That's not him. It has never been him. He's going to have that once in a blue moon or whatever. But trust me, if Rashford is going to see out his career at Manchester United, I'm gonna say this with my chest, right?
We are
The
doomed.
previous 2 seasons that he had, where he scored 17 goals, that's probably the first and the last. He's never gonna do it again, and people need to wake up to that really fast. We need to get rid of Rashford. This whole thing of, I don't get this whole amusement behind Rashford. I don't know because he's Mancunian, he's Manchester born, he came from the
Because of
academy,
that,
he's got a doctorate,
bruh.
all of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
All of that
yeah.
theatrical
It
nonsense.
is. It is
He's
deep.
not
It
good
is
enough for this team, and this team
saving kids.
it should stop with this sentimental nonsense at Manchester United of just keeping players just because they're Mancunian, they came from the academy. Wait. Look at how many look at Real Madrid getting rid of Odegaard. Look what Odegaard is doing at Arsenal. And the list goes on about Cesc Fabregas at Barcelona. They got rid of him. You understand what I mean? Look what he went to do for Arsenal. At least those academy boys went and proved it outside of their clubs. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's not all the time that you're gonna get all these great players coming from the academy. Some of them there's just not going to be any space for them. And some of them are not going to reach the heights that you think they're going to reach. There's no point in you keeping them. You understand? Why top 4 team, we have to be ruthless. If you're not going to make the cut, you have to be dropped or you have to be sold. If we want to get back to where we need to be, we can't rely on Rashford to be that type of player for us to get back to top level of football. It's not going to happen. At best, Rashford should be coming off the bench. He should not be starting
Mm,
at all for Manchester United. And if he's starting, this whole thing of Ten Hag, saying Rashford should be scoring goals, is not gonna work. And that again is where Ten Hag is making his fault. Now, like I said
mm,
before, I understand where the critics are coming from because the managerial decisions that he's making should not be made
mm,
at this level of football, especially when you're expecting this team to get back to where it is at the top. You shouldn't be
mm,
making those type of decisions. So the sole fact that Ten Hag is making those type of decisions is the reasons why he's getting those type of critiques, saying that he's not good enough to manage this club. He's out of his league. He should be sacked. That's where all of that's coming from. I don't believe it's coming out of thin air. I don't believe Gary Neville is just waking up one day and is like, yeah, I'm just gonna say Ten Hag out. You understand? I trust that whatever Gary Neville is saying, it comes from a point of sense. You understand? I'm not agreeing with him to say Ten Hag should be sacked, but I am saying that I don't think that he's just going on air and talking rubbish. He's talking sense. Now, whether you want to agree with his sense or not, that's up to you. I don't agree with it. I do agree with what he's saying in terms of Ten Hag's decision making, but I don't believe that the the what you call this, the way forward or the way to fix this problem is to sack him. Let's be real. This is the first time Ten Hag is managing a top flight team. You understand? He needs to learn and he needs to get better. There's no way that's going to happen if we're going to sack him. You understand? He needs to learn. He had his first season, you know what I mean? He got by. This season, he now has to learn how to deal with a top flight team when you got injuries. He needs to fix that. When he gets into his third
mm,
season, we're expecting better. It's almost like
mm,
how we used to talk about in fantasy. We would play fantasy, then we'll know, okay, first season, I don't choose my favorite players in the Premier League. It doesn't work. You know what I mean? Second season, yeah, this thing of me liking this thing of me supporting Manchester, and then when we're playing City, I I drop my Manchester players or whatever. I don't drop my Manchester players. I drop Aguero. Because I don't want to put Aguero in my fantasy. This is fantasy. You understand? You have to think of this thing as your own team. You can't think of your fantasy team as Manchester United. So Ten Hag, he's going through a learning phase of managing a top flight team. You understand? And
mm,
for that, I'm going to accept. I'm not going to make excuses for him and say he knows what he's doing because he doesn't. You understand? To some degree, he does.
mm,
But he needs to learn from
mm.
these mistakes and he needs to be like, I can't be relying on Rashford for this. He needs to be dropped. Someone else needs to come to this position. He needs to start making those top managerial decisions, for him to get that
See,
respect because he can't just be respected for nothing. You get what I mean? Mourinho, Van Gaal, and all those guys
yeah,
got their respect because they did it at the top level. They knew what they were doing. You understand? They've got the trophies and the
yeah,
medals to prove it. He doesn't. So he
yeah.
needs to sort of live
See,
up to that expectation.
I have a question for you.
Yeah,
Um, all our Manchester United midfielders, right?
yeah,
When they're available, say they're all available.
yeah.
Who do you pick in that top three, in that midfield three, when everyone is there?
Honestly,
It's just that I want to make a point. So, and it's
honestly,
based on what you said. So I'm curious to see how you're going to put it. But yeah,
you know
I'm
what, Ben?
curious to see.
Honestly,
Mm.
judging from last season and this season,
Uh-uh.
I,
Yeah,
I
we're
honestly,
talking this season.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
We're
honestly,
talking this season.
yeah, I'm being brutally honest right now. I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know because I don't know what has happened this season. I honestly don't know what has happened.
No, okay,
I get we got
okay,
injuries.
okay.
Okay, so in the
Let's say
midfield,
last season.
okay, in the
Let's say
midfield,
last
okay,
season.
in the
I'm talking
midfield,
about everyone fit.
okay,
Yes, like
everyone fit.
the midfield. Yeah.
I'm putting Amrabat, Casemiro, and Bruno.
Stop right there. You said something that I kind of like. You said that you are not saying it, but I wanted to make a point
Yeah,
about Sancho playing in the midfield. If everyone is fit, does he fit into that midfield?
he plays
And you
number.
just pointed out that no, he's
Look,
out.
look,
He's not
Ben.
in that midfield,
I,
right?
ne- I never said it's not in the.
Yeah.
I never said it's not in the team. I'm still putting Sancho in that team in the first 11. I'm still putting him.
Okay.
I'm putting
Okay.
him ahead of Anthony. You understand?
Okay. He's playing in the wing, but I'm
Yes.
talking about now in the midfield because when I mentioned my point of the reason why I wouldn't put Sancho in the number 10 position in this Manchester in this field, maybe at Dortmund where their responsibilities are somehow, but I'm looking at Manchester United
Yes.
squad.
But Ben, look,
You have
listen, look. When
you
I
have Sancho in
listen,
that number 10
listen,
position.
listen.
Uh,
When I put Sancho in that position, I was putting him
uh,
according to the players that we currently have. We currently
uh-huh.
have. That's why I put Sancho in that position
Yes.
because Sancho is not injured. You know what I mean? He's not sick. He's
Yes.
fit. He's fit to play. You understand? So I'm talking about currently who is fit to play. Do you get what I'm saying? But
Mm,
if you're saying the whole team
yeah.
is fit, why am I putting him in the midfield? Do you get what I mean? Then obviously I'm gonna put him
So now it
toward the wings.
so now it emphasizes no. So now that emphasizes my point of like why I wouldn't put him in that number 10 position. The only reason why I wouldn't is because he's not combative. Do you understand? Like I'm trying to that
Ben,
point because when we were
I
talking about it, I was like, I agree, but I would stick with Sancho far away. I don't want him anywhere
look,
in our midfield.
I get your
I
point,
was
but
like, yeah.
it's like the same conversation about Dalot. You won't start Dalot because it's not defensively good, or you won't start this player because they don't do that, or they don't start that player because you won't do that, right? Yes, some players have got
Mm,
weaknesses, but soccer is a competitive sport. I mean, a collective sport, a team sport. Where you have weaknesses, someone else's strengths will cover those weaknesses. You can't get a complete team that's everything they're strong at doing. You get. So I can't drop
mm,
Sancho just because it's not competitive. You understand? For me, I feel that that's something minor to dismiss him from that team. You get. The same way that's why
Okay.
I even gave that example of I didn't get Ten Hag's reasonings to be dropping Ronaldo because everyone in the press was saying how is Ronaldo gonna cope with Ten Hag? Because Ten Hag wants always players to track back and defend and press. How is Ronaldo gonna like dude, don't talk about this is Ronaldo, you know what I mean? He does what he does best
Mm,
and scores, but he doesn't need to be going back and being competitive. He doesn't need to be going back and tracking back and whatever, because at the end of the day, he
mm.
gets his job done. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So Sancho,
Yeah.
he just needs to get his job done, what he does best up front. I don't need him to be competitive in the midfield. For me, honestly, in that midfield, if we're going to have Bruno Fernandes and Casemiro or Bruno Fernandes and Amrabat, for me, that's enough competitiveness in that midfield. And remember, when the game is being played, yes, obviously you have that formation, but the formation does adjust depending on if you're attacking or you're defending, right? So you're never going to be in a situation where that formation is static. You understand? Where it's going to be 3 against 2. Because obviously, when the opposition is pressing, that formation adjusts. You understand? When the players are now dropping back. You get what I mean? So that formation is always going to be adjusting and articulating depending on what area of on the pitch that they're playing at. You get what I'm saying? So I hear your point. I'm not trying to dismiss it or take it aside or whatever, and I respect that's your opinion. But honestly,
No, no,
I'm just
no.
saying, like, in this current state,
I wanted.
I
Yeah.
just don't see like I
No,
don't
I wanted
I
to
don't get it.
clear that I've
You
got
know,
no agenda
you
against
know
Sancho.
what I mean? Like,
I really wanted
like how
me. I'm very critical,
you
just like with
yeah,
Martial,
like how
and
you
I'm sorry, well,
yeah,
Rashford.
you see like how you're saying about
Yeah,
Martial, like he's been
and
like understanding the type of
another
player
thing, G.
Martial is.
Mm,
When you spoke of
mm,
Manchester United don't understand what type of a player Martial is. Like you can't expect him to be going back into the game and getting involved because he's a give and go type of player. Do you understand? So
mm.
if that's his thing, do you understand what I mean? But then it's like, why are you not knocking him to say he shouldn't be in the team because he doesn't get involved? It's like you're getting,
Okay.
it's like you're giving him a pass, but then you're not giving Sancho a pass for his.
Mm.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, because Sancho has put himself under the spotlight. Like you don't put yourself under the spotlight, you don't get this criticism. Unfortunately, that's just how it is. You feel me? Sancho has put himself in this situation where it just looks crazy. Like whatever it is that he's doing, um, like everything that you have done, like if you have not put in the numbers, people are not going to look at what you have done. And another point that you mentioned, you said that about Sancho, and this is still about Sancho. And I know it looks like I'm going in at Sancho, but he did look like he was good during preseason, right? Everybody did look good like they were during preseason. We noticed that, and which is why I kept on. I in one episode I kept on saying we need to investigate what happened during preseason because something doesn't add up.
Yeah,
You expect players who have had a healthy preseason to hit the ground fucking running.
yeah,
Something not adding up.
yeah,
We saw Sancho look good during the preseason. Everybody else looked good, even though some of them came in late. We thought that bruh, there was optimism about our season until the first game, and then we were like, wait, what the hell is going on? Now, Sancho, if the whole team, like if everyone is looking good, right,
yeah,
during preseason, and also Sancho is looking good, clearly maybe that was we were being delusional or it was an illusion.
yeah,
And then Sancho goes on and has this situation where he retaliates and what doesn't even make him look even good.
mm,
Do you understand?
yeah,
Do, it's like, bruh, I'm sorry, but there's nothing Sancho. Like I've got no fucking sympathy for Sancho. I don't. I love him. I was excited when we brought him in. I was raving and ranting that we need players like Sancho. But
yeah,
dude, I have had it up to here with players calling the shots. That's
yeah,
my issue. And
mm,
I'm not going to stand, I'm not going to change. If they sack Eric Ten Hag, cool. I will take it. I will just be there. But I am done. I am here saying this with my chest. I am done with players sacking managers. I'm done with players downing tools and getting other managers sacked. Because you look at some of the performances yesterday, it took me back to Ole,
yeah,
those dying days of
Oh,
Ole,
Mourinho,
those
actually.
dying days of Mourinho,
That
bro.
this is so
Is a days
Mourinho-esque.
of food that is so intense.
Yeah,
It sucks because you'll be like, damn, look, these guys are literally repeating the same thing. The facial expressions has changed. The body language has changed. Everyone is sulking. You
and you know
look,
what,
these
Ben?
guys couldn't be.
And you know what, ne? Because this is actually worse. Because Ole and
Yeah,
Mourinho were drawing games. At least they were drawing. Because
exactly.
I think Ole broke the record of how many United draws we've ever had. You know,
Yeah.
and at least
And
with
that season for
Mourinho,
Ole, we had a very good away record.
exactly,
And people don't have forgotten that. That
exactly,
pisses me off.
dude. And the good thing, and I don't even know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but at least with Ole and Mourinho, we're not getting smashed. You know,
No.
this, and I'm not trying to blame Ten Hag, but man, we are getting smashed. We're not only losing, but we're getting smashed. And it's just
Man.
like, nah, I can't take it anymore. Because one
Ah.
because one goal goes in, and as soon as we've conceded the first goal, team mentality down the drain. Once the opposition has
And
scored the
have you
second
ever
goal, you already know a third one is coming. You already know
D
a third is coming.
D?
Yeah,
You know another thing that always makes me blame the players?
yeah,
Look at the manager's facial expressions
yeah.
after we've conceded a goal.
Defeated.
It's like, dude, come on,
Yeah.
guys.
It's like how?
Really?
How
Like
could you
I'm
allow that?
giving you,
How
come
could
on.
you
It's a
allow that?
very annoyed, frustrating look.
Mhm.
And that says a lot.
Yeah.
And that for me is the giveaway. It's like, fuck these players.
Mm,
To me,
mm,
I'm like, fuck these players.
mhm.
Fuck these players. This manager, you look at him, he looks confident. He's clapping. He's
Yeah.
ready to go.
Yeah.
He's really hoping that you guys are going to do the business. Then you go and flop. And then he has, and then, bruh, he has to sit there and take these questions
Exactly.
that are so fucked up, that put him in a bad light, that put him in situations where he either has to defend his players or throw them under the bus. And if he doesn't say anything, it's question marks,
Yeah.
and then everybody's going to nitpick everything that he
Yeah.
does. He will
Disgusting.
not win. So for me, with these players, but I've got no sympathy for any of these fucking players.
Mm.
When I saw Aaron one, oh, I need to say this because we have gone very long.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was a huge positive. Aaron Wan Bissaka coming
Oh
back
yeah.
yesterday.
Yeah. Huh.
Bro,
Spider is back. Ish.
he shut everyone
He
down.
shut it
Like,
down.
I want to hear you. I want to hear you people say something. Dalo, dalo this, I want to hear that. I want to hear your. Get out of here, man. Wan Bissaka just makes a short cameo. Pa, 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 pa,
Yeah. Yeah.
pa. Shut the shop. Shut shit down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
He looked good. He was all blasé about it, man.
Yeah.
He wasn't even like,
It's
he
like
was
he
like,
was,
yo, I'm just coming
dude,
back. Yo,
dude.
relax.
It's like he never left.
Like,
It's like he
I'm
literally
just trying
never
to get
left.
myself warm.
Yeah,
Man,
that was a warm-up session for
man,
him yesterday. Warm-up session.
that
He
goal
wasn't
Amarin scored,
phased by that performance.
that goal Amarin scored with Dalot on him shoulder to
Fam,
shoulder. Do
fam.
you think with Spider there he scores? No
Not a
fucking
chance.
chance.
Not a chance.
Not a chance.
Not a chance.
But you know what? I kept quiet all this time because I
Yeah,
was waiting. I was just
exactly.
waiting for Wan
Yeah,
Bissaka to come back,
yeah,
and not even an opportunity. I wanted Dalot to set himself up
yeah.
so that Wan Bissaka can come in
Mm,
and then just show people that, yo,
yeah,
I am the right back. I am the new Gary
yeah,
Neville. You know what I mean? I
yeah.
am the new Valencia. I am the new. This is my
Oh
spot.
shit.
I was happy,
Mm,
and that just by seeing Wan Bissaka's cameo, it it reminded me that, Ben, Manchester United is fine because we, out of a lot of teams in the Premier League, are missing huge component, like a lot
yep,
of pieces in our puzzle. A lot
yep,
of players, a lot of teams are missing one or two.
exactly.
We are missing a number.
Yep.
And whether people like to believe it or not, it is a fact. It is affecting us.
Mm,
Some of you are choosing to ignore it because it's
mm,
Manchester United. You
exactly.
want to banter us.
Mhm,
Manchester United are not allowed to go through rough patches. Manchester
mm,
United are not allowed to have whatever it is going on around them. Nah, you guys
dude,
just want us to always be Nah,
And you
nah.
know the funny thing, because
Like
Arsenal lost yesterday and got
smashed.
knocked out 3-1. No one is talking about it.
Mm.
No one is gonna
Nobody's
talk
talking
about it.
about it.
Nobody.
You see, and Arteta made changes as well.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
but no one's
Made
gonna
so
question
many
anything.
changes. Nobody, nobody.
Ridiculous.
So sometimes these United fans need to really, really dig deep.
Yeah.
And for some reason, man, I feel like the pressure or some of this annoying noise we're getting from United fans. I don't
Mm.
know what it is, but it kind of gives me these millennial, gives me
Yeah.
new age maturity nonsense.
Yeah.
Like the season ones, they kind of understand. There are some season ones who are not having it
True.
as well,
Mm.
and those ones I can understand
Yeah.
because you have to make a decision whether you're like that or like that. I
Mm.
get it, but then these new ones who are making noise without understanding what's going on can really, they can fucking
Yeah.
back off.
Yeah.
So
No, I get you.
yeah, man. Once we sort out Varane, we understand what's going on with this Varane situation because we need to know.
Yeah.
Then Martinez, I mean, he's not coming back, so we have to going to deal with
Yeah.
Luke Shaw. I mean, sorry, Lindelof and
Maguire and
Maguire. And
Evans.
for some reason, right now, I'm okay with those two
Yeah.
because they've been trying to hold it down.
Yeah, they're
They
trying.
have
They're
been.
trying.
Our defense is trying.
Mm.
Our fucking forwards are doing fuck all.
Yep.
So it is like, and then we get Luke Shaw back,
Yeah.
dude. Suddenly everything is now. Then we have Casemiro there in that base with Amrabat.
Mm.
Damn. And then with Ericsson ready to come on or be,
Yeah.
man,
Yeah.
we're gonna be having a different story. I'm
True.
telling you right now.
True.
It's just that right now we are going through this. Manchester United fans are not seeing it. They're seeing other clubs doing the business. They're
Mm.
seeing big Ange, manager
Yeah.
bounce.
Yeah.
They're seeing Chelsea now picking up points. They're winning games, but they don't understand that Chelsea's been losing as well. They're going through their own
Chelsea are
thing.
below.
Every fucking
Chelsea are below us. They're worse off than us.
look, every club is going through their own thing. Can we focus on United
Yeah.
and really look at the real problems
No one
and
is no
stop
one is talking about
being,
Poch, and he's having a worse off season than us.
dude,
And he has got
dude,
no injuries. He has got an arsenal of players. An
bro,
arsenal of players. and
and
no
he
one
had,
is and no one is questioning Poch. No one is giving Poch hell. You go on ESPN, it's just Man United this, Ten Hag that, Rashford that, Bruno captaincy. Why? Da, da, da. You see nothing on Poch. Yet we're doing better than Poch. Can you imagine?
can you imagine, D? And people still want our manager to go.
Fam,
Like, man, I don't know.
have
I
you seen the
really,
situation at Chelsea? We are better than Chelsea.
bro, bro,
As bad as it is,
hey,
we are better than Chelsea, and they have a squad.
they have a squad.
Mhm.
Like they have two squads.
Yeah,
Like they
comfortably,
they
comfortably
they
squad.
can,
Yeah,
man,
their squad depth is it's proper.
is
It's proper. And
insane.
imagine if they never got rid of Kaya Havertz, Mount, freaking Hudson Odoi, Ziyech. You know what I mean? Like they've got rid of a lot of
Bro,
players, and they're still good. They're still
and
good,
they're still about to release players. Bruh,
dude.
I think Manchester United should jump on Trevor Shaloba.
Yeah,
We need a centre back. I think he's good enough. He's Premier League proven. I mean, but he's gonna be better than Maguire,
100%.
definitely, because Shaloba is gonna,
Yeah,
yeah, he'll do a decent job. Like just somebody to come in and help, not have Evans there, and
yeah,
all these things. I don't know if we're going to do it, but there seems to be there could be something because
yeah,
it seems like he's fallen out. They want to get rid of him. We need a defender.
yeah.
We need a defender.
Actually, we need so many.
We need a defender in the winter. I don't know if they're thinking about that. I
Yeah,
don't know, but we need one.
no,
And if
100%.
they don't get one, we are going to.
Yeah,
I
but you
don't
know
know.
what, nah,
I don't.
we'll get into another episode where we deep dive into all of this. This was a very long, extended. I think it even went outside the scope of the match reaction. I don't know. It seems like these match reactions just get out of hand and we end up missing the point. But basically, we played Newcastle in the Carabao Cup. We're defending titles. We got knocked out. So that's it for us. We got beat 3-0 by a second-rate Newcastle team. Even before they
Mm.
brought in the other first team players, it was a wraps for us. But that's a quick summary of our match reaction and how it went for you guys who missed it. Unfortunately, we lost again at home, 3 goals. Next game is against Fulham. I can't remember if we're playing away or home. Are we playing out? Is that an away or home match?
Away.
It's an away match. So hopefully we can go there and pick points. We'll have the match preview for you guys. Tomorrow we'll do a deep dive. We're gonna do some investigating on what's happening with Varane. What the speech was. Apparently Ten Hag gave a speech after the game in the dressing room. So we're gonna get more
Mm,
information about that
eh,
and talk about that tomorrow. But yeah, I think with that being said, unless there's anything else that you'd like to say, or can we just close this episode here and then reserve our thoughts for
nah,
another episode?
no, I just wanted to point out like what you said. You like we took this out of the scope of the match reaction,
Hmm.
and I just wanted to defend your comment in saying that unfortunately, with everything that's going on around our club, it just gels in.
Yeah,
This needed to be said hand in hand with the match reaction.
unfortunately.
But yeah, there's so with United, there's just always news, so we're
Yeah,
always going to have conversations.
true that.
So yeah, man, you shouldn't feel bad that
Yeah.
we that we extended it. Yeah, we
Nah, it is.
shouldn't. We needed to get this out.
Yeah,
And I don't know if you've noticed this. T. Some of the things that we are saying them now, and then a couple of days later or a week later, people are jumping onto the same things that
true,
like our same thoughts.
true.
Like it's like okay, we've said this already,
Yeah,
so it's cool.
yeah,
It's cool. It's cool. Let us keep our mojo because
yeah,
somehow we get to say things before certain people and then we hear it from them and we're like, hey,
yeah.
were you listening to me? Like,
Nah,
yeah,
yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah, man.
But yeah, thank
Keep
you.
it close.
All right. Thank you guys for listening to another episode of the Glory Reds podcast. Don't forget to catch some of your favorite podcast streaming platforms or Glory Reds FC. So go subscribe, follow us. So every time we drop a new episode, you'll be sure to get that notification. But with that being said, we are out. Peace.
Peace.